Hi everybody, it's Tara here in Final Control. Sorry about that. I forgot to turn the sound down on the monitor. Still getting used to this new monitor. But I hope everybody is well. And I'm going to be here for an hour or so chatting with everybody. And it's great to be back, I must admit. I have had a wonderful leave. But as I say, I was itching to get back in the driving seat and get back here and see what we had in store. And what was really great is we found one of the six females, and I think we actually saw the male on my first drive back, which was really great. But let's say welcome to everybody in the chat rooms. JTV, I've really been missing you guys, and also in Wild Earth. I think it's very quiet in Ning this evening, but if there's anyone there, welcome to you guys as well. As I say, I've really been missing having the chats with everyone. I haven't actually had a chance to get onto the internet for the 2 days, 2 weeks that I was on leave, which was quite unusual. I've been getting quite addicted, I suppose, to going on the internet every day after not really being able to do it at my old place. Maybe get on the internet a couple of days here and there. So it's been quite fun, and I've missed it. But I'm back, and I'm going to try and put up some pictures. I haven't had a chance just yet. What was that music? It was actually the feedback on the monitor here. But I will be putting the camera on shortly, so don't panic. But yeah, as I say, it was really, it was awesome. It's just spending some time out there and in different areas as well. I went through to Leidenburg first, and I actually had a few days there with the Ingwe Leopard project. And I'm sure some of you saw the fireside chat with Will, so I won't go into too much detail about what they do, but basically they were trying to catch a male leopard in the area. He's called Lucky, and I think some of you have seen the picture already where I'm sat next to Lucky and Darren Simpson. I think someone did ask if it was Darren Simpson, and he's an amazing guy. He really is. American. He was about twice the size of me, and very, very thick American accent, and he's actually living in the Nevada desert when he's at home. So that was quite an adventure just to be around with him, and what this guy knows is incredible. And just a quick hello to everybody in Wild Earth TV chat room. Hi Smudger, hope you're well, and Rhonda, Andres, Cowboy, Starsman, Alicia, Diana James. I think I said hello to everybody before then. DJs, Afrimu, and I hope you got and Rose as well. And I hope you got my message thanking you for the hyena, how to tell the difference between the male and female. That's actually really useful information. If anybody is interested, it's still on my Facebook page, and it's just showing the differences between male and female hyenas, and obviously their pseudopenis, which was one that I didn't know. And when we came across the hyena on one of my last drives before my leave, we were unsure if it was a male or female, and just by the stance and his reaction, I thought it was a male. And it's quite interesting. You can actually tell by the way the stomach is. If it's quite rounded, apparently it's a male, and if not, then it's a female. So it's quite an interesting one. So what I'm going to do, I think everybody who was in here has left now, so I'm going to put the camera on. People are being a bit camera shy, so I am going to put the camera on, don't worry. So let me just get it all sorted, and then I shall show my face. There we go. Scary, hey? But yeah, as I say, I'm just going to keep an eye on the down cam. I don't know if there's been anything around. Please tell me if you guys can't hear me, because I know before there was a bit of a problem with the sound, so I don't know. I can't put this sound on because it gets a bit of feedback. So do tell me if you can't hear me, and I'll try and I know, red face. But I will try and sort of correct that if there's a problem. So hello everybody. But yeah, very strange. But as I say, it really was, wow, just to be with Darren Simpson, and as I say, what this guy knows about leopards and big cats and everything. It really was amazing just to sit and listen to him, and managed to pick his brain a little bit. And I'm hoping I'm going to be able to get together some of the clips that we managed to film. And Anton, who was one of the guys that's there actually working at the Paperbark Lodge, he's actually a guide there, and he knew quite a lot about the leopards in the area, along with Kirsty. And he did a lot of filming for me. So I'm hoping that I can actually put together some of the clips and maybe try and show you, even if I don't do a fireside chat with it, I'll try and put it on Facebook or something like that. But it's only probably going to be maybe a week or 2 weeks when we can actually put some of the stuff together. But I will definitely try anyway. And I'll try and put some more pictures up, as I say, and hopefully give you an idea of how big this cat really was. I mean, as I say, they've been after this very big male for quite a long time now, and he kept slipping through the net, so to speak, and they've been after him for about 2 or 3 years. So it was quite an amazing event that I just happened to be a part of. And I really I wasn't expecting anything like that, I must admit. I just went there just to see what they do, maybe get a bit of background information, and obviously to try and learn a bit more about the leopards in general, to try and obviously bring it back here. And when Will said, "Oh, Darren Simpson's going to be there and we're going to try and trap a leopard," I just thought, wow, this is awesome, because I have been there for darting over the lions in Entebbe, and also for the elephants, and also the tigers and lions in the zoo. So I've been around sort of sedated cats, but to actually be around a truly wild leopard who was sedated was just something else. And as I say, a leopard as well. Wow, it really was amazing. And as I say, his paws were huge. His paws were about the same size as my hand, if I can sort of hold my hand up. There we go. So his paws were about the same size as my hand, and his neck. And I'm so annoyed at myself. I was just so in awe of being there. I totally forgot to. We've got Caroline walking in here. So, hello, Caroline. But yeah, as I say, it was incredible to be there, and I totally forgot to measure his neck. And after we left, I suddenly remembered someone asked me about the size of the neck, and I said I was going to try and ask the guys there, and they didn't know how big a neck was. And obviously we had this cat lying there, and I totally forgot about it. So I do apologise to everybody. But as I say, his neck was probably sort of this sort of size, and I've got a picture of someone's hand next to it, so I'm going to try and put that picture up as well, so you can get an idea of that. So as I say, and someone was asking about me being wrapped up warm. It was actually quite funny, because what happened was we'd gone out and set the traps up, and these traps are just like a snare, but Darren actually has a system where it's a spring, and that actually, as the cat pulls, the spring goes with it, so it doesn't do any damage to the cat's paw itself. And he can actually boast that he's never lost a cat that he's caught, or any animal that he's caught, which is a really good boast, because obviously you're really concerned about the welfare of these animals. And the whole reason why we actually trap these animals in the first place is to learn from them, so they can put these satellite collars on them, and you can actually learn the behavior pattern, where they walk, things like that. And what Anton told me was that there's a particular cat that used to use a trail, and she would only walk up, never down. And there was one day she actually walked down, and they said that that's really odd, because she never does that. And when they followed it up, she actually had cubs. So just this one change in her behavior pattern actually led them to the fact that she had cubs, which was really quite amazing. So as I say, he uses this snare, and he's very, very particular about where he puts this snare, and he really is very careful. I mean, he actually told me off because I actually went off the trail, and he said, no, if you walk off the trail, the animal's going to come down the trail, smell that you've gone off the trail and wondered why, and actually go and see where you've gone and find out why. So it actually defeats the object of the purpose. So he's very particular. He looks at where the animal walks, obviously he'll even put branches down to try and encourage the animal to put its foot into the snare, and what actually happens is the animal puts the pad on, the foot on this pad, and it releases the snare, and it actually goes up and over the paw, so it can't, you know, sort of catch the toe or anything like that, and it grabs the paw sort of roughly around here, and as the spring pulls, if the animal pulls, the spring pulls, and it actually doesn't twist the foot or anything like that, so it actually doesn't have any injuries. And he's, as I say, he's done this for many years, and used the technique on jaguars, leopards, mountain lions, hyenas, lions. It really was incredible. But his utmost importance was to keep that cat healthy. And I was, you know, sort of blown away, because just by the look of him, you know, he looks quite rugged, and he's sort of, you know, you can't really explain it, but the care that he has about these cats, he really does get very protective over them as well. And he's actually been assigned, or he was doing a pilot with Animal Planet. And on there, he actually goes behind, he's actually trapping jaguar, and he actually goes behind the jaguar at one stage. And this jaguar could turn around and bite him, but he's so concerned that this jaguar, because it's being sedated and they're waiting for these drugs to kick in, that the jaguar's head is actually going into some water, into a puddle, so it could possibly drown. So he's that concerned that he actually goes around the back of the jaguar and actually tries to put a stick or something to stop its head going under the water. So he really is very particular about being very careful about keeping these animals obviously safe and well, and not have any injuries whatsoever. And it really was quite amazing to be with someone as caring as that about what he's doing. And it really is important to him to keep that boast well, if you like, to not lose a cat to anything. So excuse me. It was quite, as I say, it was quite amazing, because Darren went out to put the traps out, and they went out just to do an after dinner check. And Darren had gone to sleep by that point, because he was actually quite tired, because it's quite a draining day. I'd gone to the lodge, and I'd sat with the guests for a little bit, and then I'd gone to bed, and it was probably about 10 o'clock, something like that. And I get a knock on the door, probably about 10:15, and I was literally just drifting off, and I get a knock on the door, and Carl says, "They've got a leopard!" And it was incredible. I mean, I thought, hold on a minute, I feel like I haven't slept. I thought it was the morning. We were all expecting nothing in the traps until morning, if anything was going to be there. And it really was just the weirdest feeling. And as I say, I just hear her shouting, "No, they've got a leopard, they've got a leopard." So it was sort of jump up, try and get your clothes on as quickly as possible. And we ran out and managed to drive over, and it was actually, someone was asking me to find a black leopard, and it was on the black leopard property where we caught the leopard. So that was, I found that quite amusing when I found out. So I did manage to get a kind of a black leopard. But yeah, as I say, we went out, and by the time we got there, I think it was about 11:30 by the time, because we actually drove into the next door's property, and we were on one side of the valley, and then he had the hill where he actually climbs over, and that was the next side of the valley, or the property. So if you walk straight, it probably would have been, or if you could drive straight, it probably wouldn't have been that long, but the road had to go out of the valley and then into another valley, the next side of the hill, and then driving up, and there was some roads which were pretty steep. I mean, there was this sort of angle going up, and quite loose rock in some places, so we had to actually drive up, and quite carefully as well. So it took us quite a long time. So I think by the time we actually did get there, it was about 11:30. And then when we got there, obviously the temperature had dropped, and that's why I had quite a few fleeces on at that stage, and I feel the cold anyway. And unfortunately, I had to borrow a few fleeces, so I'm sort of quite well built with fleeces at that stage, making sure I wasn't too cold. And by the time we got there, we managed to find the vet was already there, and he'd obviously started making the darts, and we actually used the same darts in the zoo. We used to dart the kangaroos, just so that he didn't have to put the kangaroo to sleep every time, if you had to give it an injection, you'd actually use a blowpipe with a dart with drugs in it, and you'd actually use, you put the antibiotics in there, and you just blow down the dart, the blowpipe, and actually use this dart gun, so the blowpipe, so you didn't have to catch the kangaroo and cause too much stress. And it was basically the same dart, and you have a chamber where the drug goes into, and then the chamber below you actually pump air into, and then when you put the needle on, the needle has a little hole on the side, and you actually cover it with a little sheath. So as the needle hits the animal, the sheath pulls back, and that just injects the drugs into the animal. So it's quite a nice way of doing it without having to get too close to the animal. We got to the vet, and he was starting to put the drugs into the dart, and then we had to wait until he'd gone through to put the animal to sleep, because obviously you don't want too many people around, because that just really stresses the animal out. So the vet went, and Darren, I think, went up with Will. So it was just the three of them, just to make sure that everything was fine with the leopard. And then once it had gone to sleep, I think it was about 12 o'clock by that time, we'd obviously stay back, and we checked to make sure the satellite collar was working finally before we put it onto the animal. And we used a telemetry, which it looks like a bit of an aerial. You can hold it up, and again, I've got a picture of one of those, so I'll put the picture on my Facebook profile. So you can actually see what the telemetry looks like, and you basically just get clicks to say where the animal is. So if you've got the click, you start taking the frequency down, just to try and see how close they are. And it's not always very accurate, and especially in the hilly areas, you might get the signal bouncing, and that's what we were getting a few days later. So it's quite a difficult one to use, quite a difficult one to actually understand, but once you get there, it can help, and you can actually find where the animal's gone over quite long distances. And the collar actually has this tracking system in, so you can use the telemetry there and then to see if the animal's around, and then it actually uploads to a satellite every 6 hours, so you can actually plot where the cat has gone every 6 hours. So it's actually quite an interesting piece of kit, and we were actually quite lucky to try a very early prototype of that on tigers. And I used to work, for those of you who don't know me, I used to work in the zoo before I came out here to South Africa to work as a field guide, and I've always been interested in animals and working with animals. So I was actually working in a zoo in England, and the tigers there, I was working with the largest and the smallest tiger. And the largest tiger, the Amur, or it used to be called the Siberian tiger, used to have that they actually use the radio tracking devices, because these tigers can cover very large distances, and obviously it's not very forgiving terrain or environment. So they actually did use the telemetry to try and find the Amur tigers or the Siberian tigers. And what the concern was, they wanted to put the satellite collars on the Sumatran tiger, but the Sumatran tiger is weighing in maybe 150 kilos, and it's much, much smaller than the 300 kilo Amur tiger. So there was concerns of whether the Sumatran tiger would really be able to survive with this collar on. So we actually were involved in the program where we tested the satellite collar on the Sumatran tiger, and we actually fed the tigers on poles, so they had to jump up to catch their meat. So it kind of recreated the same scenario what they would go through in the wild, and that's why we were kind of chosen to test this collar out. So what was really great for me is to actually see one of these collars being used. So it's changed its look, and if you see from one of the pictures when I put it up, you'll see that they've changed it from black. It's now got little leopard footprints on a sandy background, so it actually blends in with obviously their coat, just to stop it sort of sticking out as much. So it was quite nice to actually be involved in that, as I say, and to use the telemetry and try and track the animal. So we finally get the animal is gone to sleep, and we go up in a bit of a convoy. We had the owners of the property, because obviously to get the owners involved as well is a very big thing. So we go up, and when we get there, the cat's out, and what they've done is put the cotton wool in the ears just to try and dull the sound. So again, it keeps the animal relaxed, because even though it's sedated, it's obviously going to still hear what's going on, it's still going to see. So they have a sheet over the eyes just to stop the animal sort of seeing what's going on, and it keeps them a lot more calmer, and you don't run into as many problems. And all these things are very important. So when we get up there, one of the big things to do is obviously to take measurements, and as I say, unfortunately one of the measurements is not measuring the neck, but they take measurements of everything else. And again, I've got a couple of pictures I want to put up of measuring the teeth. You'll see the size of the teeth compared to the fingers, and also we have the tape measure to measure the body. One of the things that we need to do is obviously to ID it, and the leopard pattern is very different on every individual, and they've been using camera traps, which are great, but they're not always completely accurate. You can't really get an idea of what's going on in the animal's life. And for those of you who are just joining us, wondering why they wanted to put a collar on this big male leopard, there's a couple of females in the area that they managed to put a collar on. But again, the female's lifestyle will be slightly different to a male's lifestyle. So to fully understand what's going on in the leopard's life, you need a male and a female. And scientific purposes, you actually need to have a couple of each if you can, so that what's true for one animal might be different for another animal. So if you've got a couple of animals that have a radio collar, you can actually have more of an understanding, if you like, and you can actually say, okay, well, this animal does this and this animal also does this, so this could be very true for the leopards in that area. So the reason why they wanted to do it in that area is there's a lot of farmers in that area, and unfortunately leopards have a very bad press in that area, because a lot of farmers lose livestock and they blame the leopards. So unfortunately they'll try and kill the leopards at whatever cost. So the reason why they've got the collars on these leopards is to actually protect the leopards, so they can actually track where they've gone as well, so they can learn from the leopards, they can learn the behavior, learn a lot more about them, because we don't really know too much about leopards in that area or other areas. Sabi Sands, if you've got to remember, is a very unusual area. You don't see leopard this often, and this is why it's a guide's dream to come and work here and actually see leopard as much as we do, because this is very abnormal, and it's because Sabi Sands has been open for a very long time, and that's why the fences got dropped in 1958, but they have been a game reserve, and they have been small farm holdings more than that time. So these animals have had chance to get used to the vehicles, so they're very used to what the vehicles are about, and they haven't been shot at, they haven't been poisoned in this area for a very, very long time, and that's very important for actually having these animals relaxed. But as you go away from these areas, these protected areas, the leopards have had people shooting at them, they've had them poisoning them, and basically they associate humans with bad things. So that's why they're very, very elusive. And I was also, I mean, in Tibeni, I saw maybe 8 leopards in the 3.5 years I was there. And the reason being, it was an old farm area, and again, they would have been shot at and they would have been poisoned. So unfortunately, it takes a very long time to convince these animals that, hey, in this area we not bad. So that's why it's very important for the Ingwe Leopard Project in Leidenburg to actually try and help protect these leopards in that area. And the more that they can understand about the leopards in that area, the more they're going to be able to protect them and actually show the farmers, hey, look, this leopard was nowhere near your livestock this day or this day or this day, so it couldn't possibly be the leopard that's killing the livestock. And also what they're planning on doing is going in and actually just seeing if there is a livestock that's killed. They'll actually send in people like Darren who know how to detect if a leopard's killed the livestock or not, so they can also try and prove to the farmer that yes, it is a leopard, or no, it isn't a leopard, it's something else, maybe a dog that's gone astray. So that's why it's very important to try and involve the people in that area, and that's why, as I say, the owner of where we caught Lucky, he was able to come along with, and his family, so that they can actually appreciate the leopard and maybe spread the word, say, hey, you know, having leopard on the reserves are actually needed. You know, they're a beautiful animal, and why persecute it when you can actually enjoy it? And if they've got, they also had a tracking device, so they can also go out and maybe show their guests and maybe spread the word that, hey, you know, these leopards aren't bad creatures, they're beautiful, and if they actually see this leopard more often, then hopefully he's going to be relaxed a little bit more around the vehicle in that area, and maybe they'll get more sightings. Obviously we need to make sure that he doesn't get too relaxed around humans, because if the farmers do get him in that area, then it's going to spell a bit of bad luck for him. But they keep calling him Lucky, and they estimated him about 6 or 7 years old. And this cat apparently is very intelligent, and he's managed to avoid traps, and he's managed to avoid everything that the farmers have thrown at him. So he really is quite an interesting cat, and again, that's one of the reasons why they were very interested in trying to put a collar on him and actually see what he gets up to and see how he avoids all these dangerous situations. And hopefully he's going to be able to go on to mate, which I'm sure he has done. I'm sure he's sired a few cubs in that area, and hopefully he's got good genes, strong genes and intelligent genes to pass on to his offspring. So again, hopefully they will survive in that area as well. And what really is amazing is leopards is one of the few cats that's so widely spread. You get leopards in Asia and Africa, and they can be in so many different habitats as well. So it's actually a very adaptable cat, and quite an amazing cat, and very, very intelligent as well. And I'm really starting to understand them a lot more now that I'm spending a bit more time with them, but also seeing them in different areas and getting a good feel for what they're like in different areas. Because as I say, what's true in one area can be completely different for the same animal in a different area. It really does depend on what's going on. So as I say, getting back to the story, so we're measuring this cat, and as I say, his paws are about the size of my hand. He was huge, and you're sitting there and he's breathing quite heavily as well. And obviously that's a good thing to know that he's still breathing. And they take the measurement of the tail, and I'm taking the pictures of the spots, so that you have to get both sides of the cat, because the pattern is different on the other side. So we had to roll him over, and I was involved in rolling this beautiful cat. I mean, he was such a beautiful specimen. I mean, Darren was also blown away, and he's seen quite a lot of these big cats. I mean, he's seen jaguar and he's seen leopard from across the continent, mountain lion, as I say, all sorts of big cats. And he was also saying how in good condition this cat was. And he was very soft. Someone was asking me, does he look as soft, or was he as soft as he looks? And definitely. When I touched or felt the tigers that had the collar on in the zoo, they're very, very coarse. Their fur was almost wiry, but with the leopard it didn't feel wiry at all. It was quite soft, and even with the lion it's quite short fur compared to the leopard, and it's possible because the leopard moves around in the higher altitudes quite a lot, so maybe that's got something to do with the slightly thicker fur than the lion. But yeah, the lion was definitely a lot coarser as well, but the leopard very, very soft. And as I say, his head was probably about that sort of, where are we? About that sort of size. So again, he really was incredible. But what I did notice, and I don't know if it was the flash on the camera, but when I had a look at the pictures later, and again I'll try and put some of these pictures up for you. If you look at the leopards here on drive, they have these two black lines coming down the side of the eyes, and a lot of black around here. But on this leopard, he doesn't have. And I don't know if it's because of the flash that drowned it out, but it definitely didn't look like he had these very dark black lines. So I don't know if it's something genetic in this area that the leopards have been passing down between each other, and the leopards up in Leidenburg for some reason just didn't have didn't have these lines. I don't know. It'd be quite interesting to find out, and I'll definitely be asking Kirsty if that is normal, that he doesn't have these black lines, or whether it was just the flash that just took the lines out. So that was quite an interesting little thing that we just discovered. And then, as I say, I think it was knocking about 1 o'clock. And then they finally had all the pictures that they needed. I was trying to do a piece to camera, but Darren was quite very much in the zone, and he was just enjoying being with the leopard. So trying to get a little quiet time, trying to do a piece to camera wasn't quite happening. So and unfortunately, yeah, he was apologising quite profusely the next day. But as I say, the whole experience really was just incredible, and to actually be able to be a part of it really was amazing. And as I say, to actually be so close to such a magnificent animal, and he really was just in the prime of his life. And you kind of do have to feel for him. I think he must have woken up and gone, what on earth just happened? But yeah, really, it really was incredible. And as I say, it really is important. I know some people may have their reservations about catching these beautiful animals and putting collars on them, but especially for me, and obviously I'm a zoologist, I've got a zoology background, I feel it's very important to actually help protect these animals and help to educate people about these animals. Because at the end of the day, the more we know, the more we can actually spread the word and educate people and help to preserve these animals. Because I'm sure everybody watching, you're obviously nature lovers and wildlife lovers, and I really feel that spreading the word and actually just involving people in wildlife actually helps to preserve the wildlife. Because you start to think, well, okay, I think that animal is beautiful, and you start to understand, okay, the plight of the animal, maybe even the habitat. If this animal is losing its habitat, then we need to preserve the habitat. And even if it just makes an impact that you may stop buying furniture from teak, from the rainforest, so to speak, then that's actually one more person that's helping to preserve these animals. And the same with the leopard. If we can actually change the farmers' views in the areas where they live, even if it's one farmer one year and the farmer the next year, if we can change the mindset, then we have a chance of actually saving these animals. And that to me is very, very important. So you can almost say that Lucky is an ambassador for his species, if you like. So just catching Lucky and having a collar on him, we can maybe learn a lot more about where he goes and how large the territory size is. Because camera traps are great, but you need to know sort of where they go to begin with to actually get where they're walking. And these camera traps, you can get them, but it's very sporadic. You don't know where he may have spent the time. He may have spent 3 or 4 days over somewhere else and just passed through to go to another area, and you just happen to catch it. So with the satellite collar, they're going to be able to track exactly where they've gone and see the movements, and as I say, hopefully utilize that information. And obviously with the females that they've collared there as well, they can see how the females overlap. Do they overlap to a great deal? Does it depend on the amount of prey in the area? All that sort of thing. So again, it's going to really help understand why the cats do what they do and how they've been able to survive in the area where you would have thought that they would have been exterminated. So it's a very important project, I think. And as I say, to actually have the chance to go out there and be so close to this living leopard, and that is exactly why he's called Lucky, because he's just escaped the traps every time. And to have somebody, all the people that are involved, just really care for the well-being of this animal is very, very important. And as I say, it's very important to me, and I'm sure it's very important to you too. So it really is an amazing thing to be a part of. So that's basically what I did there, and I've also got a little bit of footage hopefully to show you. And Darren actually made a bucket, and this bucket's got a piece of, I think it was goat skin he used, and he can actually do the calls of lion, jaguar and leopard, and I've got a bit of footage that actually shows you the difference between them, and also a female jaguar. And what was quite interesting was that the call of the jaguar and the leopard are very similar. The jaguar is a lot more drawn out, whereas the leopard's more like a saw. It's like a sort of thing, whereas the jaguar is sort of a more of a drawn out call, and then the lion obviously even further drawn out. So that was quite a nice thing to watch as well. So I'm definitely going to try and put that little bit of footage together, and I even have a go, but I haven't quite got the knack. I think I do need to do a bit more practicing. But yeah, so quite an amazing time, and I definitely learned quite a lot from Darren as well. Even just, as I say, just from understanding the behaviour of the animals and what they're likely to do and things like that. So yeah, quite amazing. And then I went on to Hoedspruit, which is about an hour's drive north of here, and again, that it just goes to show. I mean, I drove some beautiful roads while I was on leave, into the mountains and down into valleys. I mean, it really is incredible how diverse this country is, and you just don't really comprehend it until you start driving. And I've tried to drive as much as possible around the whole country. And as I say, just even the drive from here to Hoedspruit, the bush is so different. And I think it's possibly Hoedspruit is on a basalt rock, which is a much more alkaline rock. So it's giving rise to a lot more acacias and sweeter, more nutritious trees than what we have down here on the granite, which is an acidic rock, and that just gives rise to broadleaf trees, which they're not as nutritious as the acacias and trees like that. So I've just got a question coming in on the chat. Are there government funds to pay the farmers for the loss of the animals like cows to wild animals? You have that for the wolf population. It's a great idea, and unfortunately there isn't any government funds. But what the Ingwe Leopard Project are doing is they're trying to set up a predator protection plan, and that basically ensures the farmers against any leopard kills. And what they're proposing is that if their people, when they go in to investigate a kill, if it turns out to be a leopard, those farmers will be compensated for that. So it's not a government initiated program, it's the Ingwe Leopard Project initiating it. And again, that's all part of what they're doing in Leidenburg, and hopefully if it takes off in Leidenburg, hopefully it will spread across the country, and again that will actually help to sort of stop this barrier between farmers and leopards, and hopefully have them maintain the areas and allow the leopards to roam freely, and obviously to protect them. So that is the plan. But it's in its very, very early stages at the moment. Hopefully that's answered that question. I'm just going to go into one of the other chat rooms just to see how you guys are doing as well. Smudge, you're also saying that's what's done in the Masai Mara as well in Kenya, and I think it does work, definitely. And I can't see why, if they get compensated for the loss of one of their animals, why they would want to start, sort of shooting the leopard anyway, because obviously if they're getting a bit of money, then that does compensate them. So I think it's a very, very good idea, and it's good to hear that it does happen elsewhere in the world, and that it actually does work, obviously for the wolves and for the leopards. So yeah, it's it really is quite an interesting idea. And as I say, when I went up into Hoedspruit, just to tell you how elusive these creatures are, I was actually lucky enough to find another leopard. And my friends they actually have a bit of a timeshare up in Hoedspruit. So I went to stay with them for a few days, and they've been there maybe 15 years off and on throughout the year, and they've never seen leopard. And we